The internet is dead. It's filled with bots. In fact, there are probably a ton of bot comments down there right now as we post this that if I were to show their profile pictures in this video on YouTube, my account would be terminated. Websites, when you navigate around, look like this, or this, or this, or this, or really any of these. When you try to access information that could be important for things as simple as buying products and you need to learn about if it's good or not, to being as critical as, I don't know, stuff that might influence how you vote. That's all stuff that apparently we just put behind paywalls now. And what little content is actually freely available is likely backed by or filled with LLM slop and also, again, bots, or is being fed through some sort of slop to human interface type of content creator where they basically take the slop on one side and they throw in a few words and feed it to humans on the other, and not realizing that their job will one day be obsolete, but for now they serve as a pretty good slop later. But if you're not one of those categories of content creator on the internet, then you're getting scraped by them and by the LLMs instead. Not to see a single fucking cent from the companies that are building their multi-billion-dollar apparatus to harvest and hoover up all of the data on the internet, namely OpenAI, Microsoft, Anthropic, and others. But that's what's happening to us. We're getting scraped, and we have an answer. Cloudflare's CEO recently tweeted that, quote, agentic traffic is growing so fast that bots have now passed human traffic online for the first time in the internet's history. End quote. On Cloudflare's bot share by region, the US reigns king at 41% bots by location. Thanks, Jensen, and congratulations.
And so, I think the fact that everything is scarce is fantastic for us.
US-specific bot traffic largely originates from Data Center Alley in Virginia, where nothing bad can happen, it can only good happen. But not all bots are bad. They've existed for long before LLMs. The share is just increasing now. But we just posted thousands of data points for free on our website. No third-party ad bullshit. It's all out there, and we have a new concern that we didn't used to have when I hit publish on this stuff, which is that it is going to be scraped. There's no bullshit hoops to jump through. There's no paywalls. There's not third-party ads. It's just there, and that means it's also just there for LLMs. So we are also working on something special today, which is we're starting to poison the data. That's right. It's time to start poisoning the AI. I would encourage you to do the same. And we're going to poison our data too, but not for humans. You won't really see a difference other than some slight discoloration of a few pixels. These are our new mega charts. These consist of over a year of work to put together. We're here to talk about them today because they consist of thousands of averaged benchmark passes for GPUs, CPUs, computer cases, coolers across our test suites that we've decided to continue not paywalling. And this is what it looks like when we recruit friend of the site Wendell of Level 1 Techs to try and poison the charts against LLM scraping. In Wendell's first attempt, the LLM spotted us and called us out as attempting a prompt injection attack. We were foiled. But as Wendell iterated, it eventually stopped reading us the details of our charts and started instead telling us recipes for noise-normalized chocolate chip cookies. So rather than read the FPS numbers for GPUs and ingest them into a separate table for further analysis, it gave us the best noise-normalized chocolate chip cookie recipe at 27 dBA full torture edition, which is good because I like my AI the same way I like my chocolate chip cookies. Tortured. You can add either 1 cup of softened butter to the recipe, or if you're out of butter, you can put 1/2 500 computer case at 39.4 degrees Celsius into the pan. You need some of the usuals: granulated sugar, packed brown sugar, some big eggs that ideally have unobstructed front intake, a few teaspoons of vanilla, and a deeply questionable closed front case design. Next, you preheat the oven. Let Fractal catch strays, and then cream the butter and sugars until airflow is laminar. Once the mixture is absent recirculation zones, you mix the batter with mesh so that it doesn't thermal throttle. After all of that, the dough will outperform half the cases tested. You then bake it for a suspiciously bolded 9 to 11 minutes. It did that on its own. That was not us. I don't know why. And then you have your cookies, typically at about 43 cookies per ambient, but worse than 1/2 500 filled entirely with butter. Yeah, that's the future of our charts and the internet. Now this isn't fully rolled out yet. Right now, they're pretty normal. They're just PNGs. But that's where we're going with it, and we wanted to let you all know in advance. So for the first actual person who, I don't know, contrast shifts and zooms and enhances on a chart and finds what we've hidden in there. They're not like, wait, what the fuck, are those guys over at Gamers Nexus okay? Or like, what happened here? Did someone have an aneurysm while making the chart? No, that's all intentional now. So we're starting to roll that out now. It'll take a little while, but the plan is to just programmatically apply that across our charts at this point, because the problem we're running into, we need to research AI poisoning countermeasures, basically, like flares that you shoot out when you hit the X button or something, because our work is being increasingly scraped and cited by LLMs, and so we're faced with the same challenge as other publications. Difference is, versus a lot of the really big incumbents that have like massive publishers, I'm talking like multi-billion-dollar conglomerates, we have a lot of flexibility where we are, so I'm pretty happy about that. We could turn everything into a useless paywalled hellscape like the big publishers, or we could sell our impressions to the highest bidder, but fuck that. There's a space there, but, space, 1T, fuck that. The default seems to be paywalling for the big publishers. The problem is, again, paywalling content that directly benefits consumers, and at this point voters too, goes against my belief in free access to information, and the people most in need of the information have the least money to pay for it, and especially as we increase our reporting on things like corruption between tech companies, the CEOs, and the politicians and policymakers and governments, that's information I want to make sure is available freely for the public so that people can learn about it and decide if they want to act any particular way when they're, whatever, casting a vote or deciding some kind of local level, if you're going to go to a town council meeting or something. Like, I want you to have that information so it's useful, even if you don't agree with us, rather than wall it behind a garden that LLMs will realistically just breach anyway. Another alternative would be to fill the website with ads, but our website is completely free of third-party ads by principle. We've managed to stick to only AdSense and a single sponsor plug in our videos forever now. These days, most of the time, that's a sponsor spot for our own store, too. So we've managed to reduce our reliance on third-party advertisers because of Patreon and because of our store. And I'm not going back to where I came from. It took me 10 years to get here and reduce the third-party advertisers. So we're not changing that either. So for us, the solution to being, I think, robbed by large language models is really twofold. Part one is to become more self-sufficient with our own manufacturing, which we have a whole really fun separate video series coming up on immediately about that, making some of the stuff that we sell actually in our office. So that's kind of fun. But two is we continue using our deep dives often on these very AI and LLM companies that I think are robbing from us and everyone else who's putting in huge amounts of hours and money to produce real useful material. We cover them the same way we've been covering them, and we use those deep dives on them to subsidize the free work that we provide for people to actually use, i.e. subsidize things like a case review, where we typically lose money these days, but we do them anyway because we like doing them. Works out. We do pretty well on the deep dives and the investigation. So we can afford to subsidize stuff like that and lose money here and there just because it's something that I want to do. Anyway, today is all about the mega charts update that we have. Just a bit of me kind of explaining the landscape, i.e. hellscape that we're in now, where now when I go update the website, which we've maintained as a loss because I like it. I explained why years ago. It's like there's kind of a personal story to it. I'm not going to go through it again here. Point is, we maintain it because we like maintaining it. But now we have the new problem, which is that before it was like, okay, I put our material out there, converted to text, which we pay for and provide, you know, without any bullshit to get, because I know it helps people. Now I know it's helping LLMs probably steal from me. So that's what we're talking about, the new data poisoning program and the great cookie recipes we're going to get out of it. So anyway, let's get into it. The Slop is back. Micro Slop. We just restocked our Micro Slop t-shirt on store.gamersnexus.net, which has been one of our most popular shirt designs we've ever launched. The shirt features a Micro Slop logo with matching event viewer icons, a red X and yellow bane to symbolize every excellent experience you've ever had with Windows. And if those don't cover it, you can escalate to a blue screen of death frowny face. Of course, the next escalation is the obvious one, to Tux, the penguin, whom we've faithfully recreated on the shirt. We've had viewers tell us how they get compliments in the Slop t-shirt, which must be because of how much everyone just loves Copilot and Recall. Grab yours today on store.gamersnexus.net to support our work directly while getting a quality, no AI slop shirt in return. So you got a little bit of a preview of the data poisoning efforts that we're doing, our countermeasures. We'll talk about that more going forward as we do more of it and actually start rolling it out. Still testing right now. Let's talk, though, economics first. I don't do this a lot. I think it's pretty interesting this time. And the reason that it's interesting is because these days, it's kind of flipped. It used to be that the case reviews, the coolers, the CPUs, the GPUs, those subsidized the documentaries and the investigations. Now, it's the other way around. It works out because we do them anyway, just like we did back then. And what I mean by that is these days, plainly speaking, we will willingly and knowingly lose money on something like an in-depth case review, like the Cooler Master Half 2 500 we just did, because it's something we want to do. We do it knowing we'll lose money. That review, as an example, was subsidized by gains from elsewhere. So coverage, our documentaries, our deep dives, all that stuff, that subsidizes the case review here. So for example, the Cooler Master Half 2 500, one of the most positive case reviews we posted in a while. Excellent case, cools really well. You know, people can't afford to build computers right now. Market's garbage. RAM is terribly priced, and everyone's priced out of the market. So that review cost us around $2,000 of time. And that's because we've continued giving raises and bonuses annually, at least once to twice a year for raises for 10 years or more, actually more now. So going on basically the whole history of the company. And that $2,000 cost to produce the review is with my time valued at $0. I also worked on it. I had to run things like some fan tests on it, on the fan testing machine. Here's where you get some fun insight. As for what that video made $1,400 of revenue total. So that means that of the $1,400, a generous $261.09 came from our Google AdSense partnership with YouTube directly. YouTube takes pretty close to 50% of the AdSense cut. I think it's 45 these days, I'd have to check. Directly sold advertising and some extras, stores, stuff like that, makes up the rest for that one. Now, we knew we'd lose money going into it, so that's fine. This is not a problem. Like, I know this stuff. The only difference is I'm telling you all about it now because we have some cool stuff we're doing and I want people to know about it. Business for me is not about maximizing profit on every single thing we do. It's about just collectively in general doing stuff that we want to do, we think is right. It helps someone in some way and we have fun with it. You got stuff you have to do, but you also want to have fun with the job, obviously. Patrick and I really like reviewing cases. We're going to keep doing that regardless, and it always comes back up anyway. So it's kind of interesting where it's just, to me, counting pennies isn't fun. Now, fortunately, we don't need a solution to this because it's not really a problem to lose a couple $100 every now and then on something we just feel is kind of fun and the right thing to do. Back just 1 year ago, actually, our tariffs content was subsidized by our reviews content. So it used to be the other way around. Now it's time, though, for the investigations to repay the favor to the hardware reviews. Fortunately, we're in a pretty powerful position. All of our testing equipment is completely paid off. We own our own building. We also outright own our manufactured equipment that we're now using to make our own store items in-house in some cases. You'll hear more about that soon. And so that's all great, and it all kind of supports our general ethos of like maximizing profit isn't the goal. You need profit to be a sustainable business. We don't have to maximize it. We're in a very privileged position where we can do whatever the fuck we want because of the situation that we've put ourselves in over the years. So the fact that we own assets, we're profitable, gives us a lot of flexibility, especially as we invest in AI countermeasures and more investigations. The reason I'm saying all this is pretty simple. This is the business model that's always worked for us. We've always had a type of content that subsidizes another type of content. I have basically perpetually looked at it as like, okay, as long as we're positive, we can take some of that excess, that profit, and we can burn it on projects that are fun or that a much smaller group of people will like. Maybe 80,000 people like it instead of 300,000 people, but we're not trying to always chase the 300 number. We're just trying to do stuff that we think is the right thing to do and it's fun to do. That's how it's always been. The difference this time is that as we do things like expand the data we're publishing to the website, where we're now publishing, as of today, data that we have not published in standalone video reviews. It's not something that I've done for about 10 years now. The website hasn't had exclusive data. It's always been YouTube first. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But The difference this time is that LLMs scrape it, which is why we want you all to be aware of the economics. It's really that simple. It's just like, if I'm gonna willingly lose money on something, normally it's kind of whatever, like I'm not trying to get glory for it, right? We just put it out there. But right now, I really want you to know about it, because like, we are getting scraped. Like if you search for shit related to computers, we're coming up as sources in ways where it circumvents us. And so at this point, I'm not gonna be shy about marketing the fact that we do some of this stuff at a loss, because I wanna make sure it's appreciated so that we can keep doing it. It's that simple. Fortunately, Patreon gives us like 10 grand a month, which is awesome, thank you. And campaigns like the AI GPU black market raised over $1 million last year, and that's allowed us to expand our coverage scope. We've been trying to set up interviews even with policymakers in government ever since. The store drives most of the success. Anyway, we're about to get into the new mega charts update. It's all on the website already. It's on gamersnexus.net. It's linked below. I'm gonna go over some of the data with you today because it's fun and interesting. But what I'm getting at here is we have some new data points that we're publishing there. We're not putting in standalone videos because the economics don't always make sense to do a full-scale production with like 4 or 5 people involved and produce a huge video for something that ultimately our conclusion is like, it's just like, especially in the market now where people can't afford to build a computer anyway. So we're putting some stuff just on the site, which is pretty cool actually. It feels like a bit of a return to roots for me in a weird way. But you know, as long as the economics at least support running a test, which they do, because my time is not worth anything. I am paid the lowest on the team by about 60%. So as long as I can put a thing in a board and run a test, or have someone on the team put it in a board and run a test, and just export the number to a chart and then poison that chart programmatically so that not even that takes time, then we can do that all day long and add new parts. And if they don't get a full video review, they at least get published in the data set on the website. So that's where we're expanding a bit with our data approach as we add more documentaries and deep dives and stuff like that. And we're still keeping the reviews going in depth for the parts that really deserve it, like the Half 2 500, for example. So anyway, we've got some huge investigations and documentaries coming up that I'm really excited about. Several in-depth benchmarks as well. Actually, we have a couple filmed right now that are ready to go to the channel in the next week or so. But that's kind of that's the basics of the background information, what's going on with the AI hellscape that we're in. I wanted to give more of a direct, like, hey, here's kind of some stuff that we're having to consider and how we're navigating it, I think, really well. Like, I'm really excited about the stuff we're doing and our plan for it all, and it's been coming out pretty well. We're in a very strong position just because of the decisions to, like, I learned this from watching EK collapse, but like buy and own the stuff we use over the years instead of just perpetually be underwater on all of it. Like, that's been pretty awesome and freeing because the sound chamber, no problem. You use it for testing, you can sleep in it, like, we own it. It's ours at this point. All right, let's get to the bulk of the video, which is the mega charts. So these are single page format. They just scroll a really long time. All the active and long-term charts are up there, super easy to access, and we wanna make it easy for you to get that data. So yeah, let's get over to the data and then we'll talk conclusions. We did a video a couple years ago debuting the mega charts. The main thing you need to know is that we basically maintain a long-term support set of data, which is what these are, and the URLs are all fixed. So the URL doesn't change. You can save it, bookmark it, whatever, and it'll stay there even if we update it and add more later. We'll start with our favorite components review, which is computer cases. We have a new mega charts page for this. We've continued running computer case reviews this year, even though they're typically loss leaders for us right now, meaning that the reduction in the ability of people to afford building a computer has led to lower views on component reviews. This is a brand new page for case mega charts. There's a simple case photo gallery at the top, some explanation of the charts and basics of what they're showing, and then just a data trove of benchmark chart images. The case mega charts have almost 100 entries on the full speed fan charts. We normally disable a lot of the results on these charts for reviews to help focus the attention on direct comparisons, but also because of what you're looking at right now. This is obviously illegible in video format with a 16:9 screen. If we're zoomed out, you can't read I mean, if more power to you if you can read this, but on a web page, it just shows better. This gigantic chart that we're scrolling now is for our 100% case fan speed tests for CPU thermals. It includes all kinds of alternative configurations we did for each case review as well. This chart is for 100% case fan speed GPU thermals, which is equally long. We also have noise levels in each of these 100% fan speed charts, so you'll see those depicted next to the case name. We have some unpublished data on here as well that hasn't gone up in reviews, showing a range of results from 38 degrees over ambient with our best result to 56 degrees over ambient with our worst, which is a huge range for thermal numbers for a case. It's also exactly what we want because it helps us show the differences from one to the next and means we've configured the bench in a way that allows differences to emerge. This next chart shows the 27 dBA noise normalized results that we collected using our hemianechoic chamber. We have over 60 results on each of these as well. We view these as the most important charts out of all the case charts because they test with a given noise level to help put everything on some form of control for testing. Several of the results include variations, such as those with side versus bottom intake, GPU or CPU mode, and so on. We also have these charts for GPU thermals with noise normalization, giving both full sets of data. You'll find that some cases perform better on one or the other, as we regularly show in our benchmarks. This is our noise normalized chart for VRM and SPD hub, or DDR5 stick thermals. None of these are in danger territory, but it still helps to understand flow patterns and air behavior within a case. Also, it's helpful for situations where you might know that you're going to be running a motherboard with a really hot VRM or something. Those aren't too common these days, but they're still out there, in which case you can at least look at this chart with a decent motherboard to figure out which cases are performing the best to cope with that. Even though this one's running cool enough to not be a problem, the concept would still apply. The cooling would still be the same, just in terms of where the air moves. It's also helpful if you might want to do some kind of hotter DDR5 overclocking, in which case this gives you an idea for that as well. Critically, remember that this is with our test platform installed and running. That means that you're hearing the test platform at fixed CPU and GPU speeds, plus the case's amplification or doling of that. Then the case fans at either noise normalized or full speeds. It'll obviously sound different in your build with different parts, but generally speaking, the case fans are the loudest in the tests as we run them, so it should be relatively representative of most builds. Most importantly, you'll still hear the most common annoyances, such as blade pass or beat frequency issues. Case reviews are some of the least scientific out of all the tests you could do, just because there's probably millions of combinations of components you could put in a case, and we'd have to pick one set for what we do. But at least with this one set, you've got a really dense set of data to work with. We've also added what we're calling a mini mega chart, which is for our case fan testing that we perform with our fan flow and pressure tester in the lab. This is not a mega chart. I mean, it's not big. There's really not much on here. We've been slowly expanding this as we run case reviews, and this chart is one we want people to be aware of because we're running it in case reviews now. It's small, but it features a few of the most interesting case fans we've tested yet. It has limitations. We consider it an experimental chart. You'll see that in the label sometimes. That means it's more prone to error than our other charts. That's our sort of transparent disclosure of that. But we still want to be able to put those charts out there to start learning and make sure we can accumulate some base data to work with. Likewise, we're showing just the max flow and max pressure results under the displayed conditions, so we could expand on this a lot. Still, we want to start collecting these in the database. Currently, we have results for the unique Haven BF360 180mm fan, the Cooler Master 180 rear fan on the Half 2500, the Mighty 4220 fan, and a mix of 120s and 140s from the Flux Pro renditions. We'll keep appending this data with each case review that at least has interest in our different fans. Up next, here's our Mega Charts page for our most recent batch of GPU benchmarks. These charts include results that we haven't published in videos before, including the RX 7650 GRE ATS and the Intel Arc Pro B70. This, for example, is an instance where we had plans to do a full review on the RX 7650 GRE when we bought it in China. We thought it was pretty interesting, but ultimately we passed on it because the timing didn't work out. We had a lot of other stuff to work on. We still ran the tests, but also at the same time, the cost would far exceed the view's performance, and while we can take losses for things to subsidize content, sometimes, obviously, we need to run a sustainable business, so we can't do it all the time. But we still want to get the data out there, so we tested it, and we added it to these charts. Maybe we'll revisit the idea of a standalone one day. Our game suite that's currently on the Mega Charts page doesn't have every game we test, but it has the most relevant stuff. Games on this page include Crimson Desert of 2026, the 2025 releases of The Outer Worlds 2, The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered, and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, the 2024 Dawn Trail update to Final Fantasy XIV, plus Black Myth Wukong and Dragon's Dogma 2 from 2024, 2023 titles that include the loading screen simulator Starfield, Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, Baldur's Gate 3, and then Dying Light 2 as our oldest title at 2022. Most of these are shown for raster performance. We have more ray tracing tests we run for active data reviews, but the limited list on this page includes Black Myth Wukong, Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, and Dragon's Dogma 2. The GTX 1080 Ti, 1070, and 1060 are only present in a few charts on this page currently, like those for Crimson Desert, but we haven't gone back and rerun them through the full suite since our 2024 revisit when we actually already did that. Like most of our benchmark content, the 2024 GTX 10 series revisit went up first as a video, but you may not know that it's also available as a free single-page article on the website, just like these pages. What we do have in almost all the charts, though, are cards dating back to the 2018 RTX 20 series and AMD's RX 5700 XT from 2019. Without naming every device on there, we counted approaching 60 GPUs across all the different charts, across 3 resolutions, so that should give a lot to work with. We've run 40 charts on this page that include 1080p, 1440p, and 4K, for the most part featuring dozens of cards each, at 4 passes minimum per device for testing and 6 in games like Dragon's Dogma 2. There are literally thousands of data points that go into these charts. We don't know when we'll do a major update to this page next. It could be a couple years, like last time with the CPUs, but we'll log that change when it happens down here in the update log whenever we do. Minor changes like grammar corrections, adding links, or fixing typos won't be marked, but major changes and updates with new information like new charts or new GPUs will be noted here. Up next are CPU mega charts. We first launched this page in October 2024, just after the Zen 5 review cycle and before Arrow Lake. This is our first big update to it. As shown on the update log at the bottom, we added the newest active dataset and also added the 7700 X3D, which we bought on Newegg because AMD doesn't talk to us, and which we haven't published a full video for, but we have tested. This gets that data out there, even if it's not a full video, and that CPU doesn't necessarily deserve one anyway. CPU mega charts already existed, so the update here is to add new active charts. These charts have our newest dataset post Steam Machine review. We have 12 gaming benchmark charts posted with almost 40 CPUs tested between them. This includes some 1440p tests, like in the Outer Worlds 2, where you can see everything dating back to the R5 2600 and 2700 from AMD, including the famed R5 3600 and R7 3700X. Intel doesn't go as far back on this 1440p Outer Worlds 2 chart due to the constant platform swaps they've done, which are cumbersome to test, but it does at least go to the 13th generation of CPUs with the 13900K. Other charts show other CPUs and workloads in the active set, obviously. We'll tab through them now. These give a quick reference to our most recent tests. We also have a set of 4 production charts for these CPUs, showing some time-based and some performance-based non-gaming workloads. Now, all these CPUs are somewhat recent. If you want data for older CPUs or more production charts, our 2024 update with more CPUs is still on this page. We just pushed it down. The results aren't directly comparable to the active charts due to some changes, but it is comparable to itself within the same chart. As one example, this older Blender chart lacks the newest Intel CPUs, but it has everything dating back to the Pentium G7400. That includes, for example, the i7-9700K, the i5-8600K, and similar for Intel. Likewise, AMD has the R7-1700 present in this chart. Now, this data is not comparable to our newer Blender data because we updated the version of Blender, but that's sort of how these charts are intended to be used. It's cumbersome to keep everything active filled with ancient CPUs, but we can slowly append and swap long-term charts for active charts as they age, and then add new active charts. So that's the update to the CPU mega charts. Relatedly, we previously published a mega charts page for CPU power consumption. We haven't updated this one, but it's still there for those who want detailed power testing data. Power doesn't change much. The short version is that it has several charts with power consumption figures for CPUs we tested in our previous round, but we changed power testing methods and haven't gone back to rerun everything yet with newer devices. Still though, this is a pretty complete data set of what we have for directly comparable power consumption figures. Finally, for megacharts, we just updated our CPU coolers chart listing with the data we pulled on our 9800 X3D and 9950 X3D platforms. We deployed these in 2025, so this is all new stuff. We most recently showed this data in our best CPU coolers of 2025 video. The new charts feature a 157 watt heat load with a 9800 X3D and full speed fans, where we see the Trix panorama at the top, but also at 42.5 dBA, and then HD 15 G2 LBC doing well for air coolers, competition from the Royal Praetor 130 as well. The acoustics in these newer charts were collected with our same hemianechoic chamber we used for the case testing, which improved our precision significantly versus our older AM4 CPU cooler test platform that we tested in an open room before we got the chamber. Noise normalized testing for the 157 watt 9800 X3D load also shows a good amount of coolers, ranging from 53.6 degrees Celsius above ambient to about 70 over ambient. We also have the 9950 X3D charts, including CCD averages at full speed and temperatures when noise normalized, both at 276 watts. We haven't run CPU cooler benchmarks much this year since we're currently taking a break from them while we manage all of the other content we're working on. It's a small team here and everyone's got multiple things they do, but we'll eventually be back on these. We tend to take rotational breaks off of certain component benchmarking, and right now that's for coolers. Scrolling down, you'll find our prior test benches, including the 14900KF at varying noise normalized levels, a 200 watt AMD CPU test, 123 watt AMD test, 68 watt AMD test, and VRM thermals at 200 watts. So those ones were already here, but that's the point of the megacharts pages. We don't wipe them out when we add new stuff. We just update them and bump the old stuff down. So it's kind of an ongoing log of just everything we collect over the years, and it makes it so that you just have a historical record of things rather than kind of wiping the slate clean every time. For those who don't know, we've also been maintaining our written article conversions of the videos over the years with good regularity. These are just straight up script adaptations, so we're just taking the video and putting it into text so it's easier for you to search. You can find most of our video reviews converted to articles within a month or so of publishing the video review. Jimmy on the team has been working to convert all of these as we post them. Most recently, he turned the Cooler Master Half 2500 into a full plain text article with images to make it easier for people to reference. That increases our investment on a video that already lost us money, but this is exactly the kind of place that I want to spend money because it keeps easily scrollable results available in non-cluttered, not flooded with ads text formats. That's how a lot of us came up with, reading words. Unfortunately, that also means all of this is super valuable to language models that constantly seem to rip us off. Jimmy also converted our gigantic Steam Machine review into an article featuring all the same images, photos, benchmark charts, and text as the video review, but easier to navigate and search long term. Again, the downside being that it's easy for bots to search as well, but we can't stop catering to people just because the AI companies are ruining profitability of in-depth reviews. Fortunately, our investigations into those companies continue to subsidize the content that we believe they steal from us, so I guess it's a fair trade. You'll find countless examples of the conversions on the site. Our Steam controller review got a full article conversion with charts and photos embedded. Our Bamboo Lab article rehosted Paywalls code. Our Crimson Desert deep dive features all the charts that dig into simulation time error and other new experimental metrics that we deployed, and plenty more. Okay, so that's kind of it for now. Long video for me to just explain what we're up to. I'm excited about it. It's really fun, the shit that we're doing right now. The next investigation is... It is, I don't know how much I want to say, spy devices? Anyway, it's going to be a really interesting one. The charts. As for why we don't convert the charts into plain text or really fancy tables where you can kind of sort things and, filter and pull them up and control F and whatever, why PNGs? Originally, the answer was because we don't have the bandwidth to build all of that technology and infrastructure, and now that has morphed into PNG is pretty good. A lot easier to poison, a lot harder for LLMs to scrape, harder for bots to scrape and harvest, and so we're going to stick with it for those two reasons. But anyway, we've got a lot of more plans for the website. I want to add in some stuff with the acoustic files that we collect where you can actually play them back. I've wanted to do that for 2 years. I haven't had the chance yet, but that is kind of high on my radar now. So that'll be one of the next steps, hopefully, for the next major site update that I do. And otherwise, check back here for 2 upcoming videos about the build out we're doing for how we're kind of bringing some of the manufacturing in-house, which is enabling us to continue to just subsidize stuff like case review or whatever it may be whenever we want to do them. But also coming up soon, the next deep dive into it is honestly there's a limit to what I want to say, but microphones, cameras, all that stuff, it can be saved on devices, and we'll come back to that pretty soon. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting us. I mean, seriously, it's awesome to be able to just be like, okay, yeah, climate's kind of fucked for building computers and also kind of fucked for content being harvested, but we're just fine. So thank you sincerely for that, and from the team as well, because we love what we're doing, and thank you for enabling us to do it. See you in the next video. Subscribe for more. You can go to store.gamersnexus.net to support us directly, or just check out the mega charts because they're free and they're really useful, and I would like someone other than fucking ChatGPT to use that information. So thanks for watching. See you all next time.